A warm welcome from the Learning and Development Directorate, and welcome to Government Structure and Function, a module within our Orientation to the Public Service series. This module seeks to acquaint public officers with the framework of the structure and function of government. It provides a brief overview of the three arms of government and examines the role of key posts and offices and organs in the public service. In this module, we will explain the functions of the three arms of government. Examine the role of the following in the operations of the public service: Minister, Head of Public Service, Committee of Permanent Secretaries, and the Permanent Secretary. We will start our discussion today with having a look at the structure of our government. The Barbados Independence Order, or the Constitution of Barbados, is the supreme law of the land and sets out broadly how the nation should be governed or run. Generally, when we speak of government, we speak of a particular political party elected to power by a majority vote. But that view or definition is not our focus. The concept of government we will be discussing is from a constitutional perspective and embraces the legislative, executive, and the judiciary. Now that Barbados has become a republic, as per the amended constitution in 2021, the president serves as the representative of the state, which is the governing body. Government is broken into three branches or arms, namely the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. There are three branches of government: the executive, which is the cabinet, and the administration, which is the public service, decide policy, draft bills, enforce and administer acts. In other words, the executive branch initiates and administers law. The legislature makes the laws and is responsible for the enactment, amendment, or repeal of laws. This branch examines, debates, and votes on bills, which are then assented to by the president and become acts or statutes. The judiciary addresses the application of the law. As public officers, an important role you play is in ensuring that all laws are followed. You should keep accurate records and reports on files so that if need be, and requested by the courts, these are available and shows the process undertaken. As a parliamentary democracy, all activities of the public service are controlled by Parliament. Parliament has to vote on funds to be spent by the executive. Legally, the executive should not spend money that is not voted by Parliament. Cabinet is the principal instrument of policy. Whilst the public service does not make policy, its role is to assist with the formulation of the policies through the provision of advice and implement the policy, programs, and decisions of the government. This is legislated in the Public Service Act, Cap. 29, Section 3, 1, B, and C. All persons in the service in their various roles assist in the implementation of policy. A minister can be an elected official from the House of Assembly or can be selected from the Senate and is in essence the political head of a ministry. A minister initiates action in regard to policy on subjects for which he or she is responsible and prepares proposals on general policy for consideration by the cabinet and for presentation by them in the cabinet. In addition, a minister implements decisions of the cabinet insofar as they affect his or her ministry, ensures that no expenditure is incurred which has not been sanctioned by Parliament in respect of matters falling within their portfolio, deals with matters affecting his or her ministry in the House of Assembly or in the Senate. It should be noted that a minister is not a public officer. There are three functioning services commissions in Barbados, namely, the Administrative, General and Professional Service Commission, the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, Legal Fraternity, the Protective Services Commission, Police Service, Fire Service, Prison Service, Immigration and Customs Departments. These are established under the Constitution Chapter 8, Section 90, which speaks specifically about the establishment of a Public Service Commission. The Public Service Act, Cap. 29, Section 4, 1, outlines the management of the public service as follows. The public service shall be managed by the service commissions in accordance with their functions under the Constitution. Service Commissions, Public Service, Regulations, 1978. Service Commissions, Police Service, Regulations, 1964, and provisions of the codes as set out in the schedules to this act. Along with the service commissions, there is also the head of the public service and the Committee of Permanent Secretaries. Notwithstanding subsection 1, a permanent secretary has responsibility for the management of the ministry or department to which that permanent secretary is assigned. The Public Service Act was subsequently amended to include a provision for the Protective Services Commission and to amend the name of the Public Service Commission to the Administrative, General, and Professional Services Commission. The HPS is the principal body charged with the management of the public service. The powers of the Public Service Commission are outlined in the Constitution, Chapter 8, and these powers reside with the relevant services commissions. This includes the power to appoint, remove, and discipline public officers. This is vested in the President acting on the advice of relevant services commission. The Administrative, General, and Professional Services Commission gives direction of a general nature and provides guidance to officers or employees in relation to the performance of their duties in order to promote the development of the service. They may appoint committees, panels, or other bodies established for the purpose of recruitment or promotion to the service, or any other matter the Commission thinks fit. The head of public service must be a permanent secretary and is part of the management team for the public service. The role of the head of the public service is outlined at Section 6(1) of the Public Service Act, Cap. 29. The Act states, "There shall be a head of the public service, who, a. shall be the holder of the office of permanent secretary, and b. shall be designated in writing as head of the public service by the Prime Minister in his or her own discretion." The Committee of Permanent Secretaries is also designated as part of the group that manages the public service. The head of the public service chairs the Committee of Permanent Secretaries. Section 7 of the Public Service Act establishes the Committee of Permanent Secretaries. Section 8 of the Public Service Act outlines the functions of the committee, which include, among other things, advising the Prime Minister on areas of the management of the public service as required, and on the policies necessary to administer and develop the public service. Coordinating those functions of the public service that relate to the management of the service to ensure that there exists the capacity of the government to provide a modern and efficient public service. They also submit to the Prime Minister, not later than 3 months after the end of each financial year, a report outlining the activities of the committee. Creating a working environment that is conducive to increased productivity and greater job satisfaction in the public service. You are encouraged to read this section in the Public Service Act for further details on the functions of the Committee of Permanent Secretaries. As indicated earlier, the minister is the political head of the ministry or department. The permanent secretary is the administrative head and is responsible for the daily management of the ministry and subsequently the departments which fall under the ministry. The permanent secretary is the accounting officer of the ministry and as such has overall responsibility and is accountable for all financial matters. The roles and responsibilities of the permanent secretary are also outlined in the Public Service Act Cap. 29 at Sections 4 and 10. The permanent secretary is responsible for the management of the ministry or department to which they are assigned. They also ensure that the provisions of any enactment in respect of the health, safety, and welfare of persons at work are observed in relation to their assigned ministry or department. The permanent secretary is designated as the accounting officer and works closely with the assigned cabinet minister to ensure the efficient and effective administration of the business of the ministry. The permanent secretary sits on Committee of Permanent Secretaries. So to summarize, we see the connection between our structure of government and the role of the public service. Parliament enacts the laws, the judiciary interprets the laws. Cabinet makes policy. Parliament has the ultimate oversight of the public service. Ministries, departments, and agencies are responsible for putting government's policies and laws into practice. If you have any questions, please reach out to the Learning and Development Directorate via telephone at 535-6700. If you are accessing this content as part of an online learning program, contact your course coordinator or course facilitator if you have any course-related or technical challenges, for example, broken links or pages that would not open, etc. If you're experiencing any challenges, please email us at our LD eLearning email address.